it's not about you in a support tour. Your whole job is to get up there, perform as hard as you can, and win people for the next time.
How did you then go from that to the set list for what I presume is about 40 minutes or so for Sleep Token? Did that feel refreshing?
It was kind of sick, to be honest, because we could just kind of cut the fat and just play the bangers that we wanted to play. We've kind of said it as like it was the perfect tour at the perfect time for us. Like it just kind of fell into place, and we're insanely grateful for just being handed that opportunity because
Thornhill are a band from Melbourne, Australia, who are increasingly turning heads internationally, having originally, in a big way, burst onto the scene with their debut album, The Dark Pool, many years ago. Now, not ones to shy away from experimentation, their sound has varied over the years, and their most recent album, called Buddies, is easily, in my opinion, one of the top albums to come out this year, and is also one of my most replayable albums in the past few years. Now, they're currently on tour in North America with the juggernaut that is Sleep Token, and I'm very grateful they've got a little bit of time today to chat to me about that recent album and where the band is today. So thank you and welcome to vocalist Jacob and guitarist Ethan from Thornhill. Welcome, lads.
hey,
Thank you
thanks for
very
having
much
us.
for being here. It's an absolute pleasure. Again, I understand it's a busy time. You got a couple more dates with Sleep Token, so I really appreciate it. I'd love to start by talking about the album Buddies. Now, as I said there, it's so replayable for me. Partly, I think, for me, I love groove, and this album has heaps of it. And I understand from a recent interview you did, I think it might have been on The Breakdown, you were saying that the album Heroin was quite a sort of considered particular assembly of songs. And for this album, perhaps your approach is a little bit more loose. Was that as a direct sort of counterpoint to Heroin, or is that just how your musical songwriting has naturally evolved over time, do you think? Perhaps.
I think it was
Ethan.
definitely a conscious thought going into this record. Like we felt like a lot of the songs on Heroin we kind of overcooked because we did it in lockdown and we were all sort of like separated in our bedrooms. We couldn't really like vibe these ideas out together. So everything was sort of written separately. And then once we took it to the stage, it felt kind of disjointed and slow and not like very natural to play together. And I think the one thing we wanted going into this record was just to have that like to really think about the live aspect and like what we want to enjoy, like what we enjoy playing. If we're playing it, 6 to 8 months of the year while we're touring, we want to be having a good time because it means we put on a better show. It means people see that, it means people hear that. So yeah, I think to be honest, the live aspect was the biggest factor at the forefront when we started writing.
And then how did you achieve that in the writing process? Were you getting together and kind of jamming out ideas to understand how this might translate live, or is it just more in the back of your mind as you were writing?
Hey, you looking at me to answer? I'll answer. um, well, obviously, because it was out of lockdown, we could sort of get into a room together and flesh things out, which we hadn't been able to do since like the Dark Pool.
Yeah, true.
So it was us and our producer, Sammy, who's the drummer in Ocean Grove. Um, we were just able to like sit in a room in Mater's house, our drummer, and just sort of like flesh out ideas together and like get excited about things in real time and just sort of track it as it was happening. Like we've always wanted to capture that like lightning in a bottle sort of feeling. And that's exactly what that felt like. Is like as the ideas were hot, we were just getting them down and not thinking about it too much and just moving on.
Nice. So I guess you get less of that sort of fatigue of executing a technical piece over and over. You have that, oh, this is fun to play. And in that moment you record it, there's something intangible, I think, that translates into the
Yeah.
recordings that way.
Even in the performance as well, not just the part. Like I think a lot of Jacob's vocals and stuff were just done on the fly, and a lot of those original takes were kept because there is that sort of like that magic in the initial idea.
That's very cool. And I mentioned that groove is kind of central to my enjoyment of this record in particular. And a lot of that's coming from the guitar riffs, but also the drums are punchy on this record in particular. I was wondering whether you as a band, because the way that the mix ends up is a huge part in how the album translates. Are you all kind of getting into a room and influencing how the balance of the volume of different instrumentation is? Or you're kind of going, listen, we trust the producer, they're going to come with their idea and then hopefully we like it. How much are you like hearing that together and figuring that out? Maybe Jacob, how would you get that from a singer point of view, where you want your vocals sit in the mix and how you feel about the punch of the drums in particular?
I think we're pretty annoying with the mix process. I think we're very, very involved. For this one especially, I think because we were a bit behind, because we're always kind of behind when it comes to like handing in the album. We were all doing it out loud with Sammy. We were just behind him, kind of set up behind him, and he was here, and the speakers are just blasting all these songs, and we're just like, that needs to be higher, that needs to be lower, that needs to be this, that needs to be this, and he's just like sitting there just like, oh my God. But I think even in terms of drums, I think we're all, I think drums is kind of everybody's favorite instrument in the band. And I think that's something that we all kind of focus on a lot. And it was very important in this mix. So I think everybody was in the studio just being like, this is a very important thing to get right for this sort of sound. And yeah, the vocals are just the vocals, dude. Like, I feel like they're kind of the last thing that we do. And like Ethan said, I think a lot of them were kind of just done on the fly. A lot of them were just like takes from my bedroom, just because we liked the way it felt, like the energy of like the first take. So I feel like that was just a bit of like a leveling thing we had to do, and then we were kind of done.
Right. Yeah, you're talking about vocals there. One thing that really interests me in particular about your vocals, and I'm sure you've heard this comparison over time, but I find that your vocal melodies are quite surprising. They take twists and turns that I don't expect, certainly on first listen. And another artist that I think of when I hear melodies like that is Chino from Deftones. Has that always been just, the natural way that your melodies kind of come out? Or are you, when you're sitting down to write something, having a concerted effort, like how can I make this unique and different and suit the atmosphere, but in a way that's perhaps unexpected? How natural or concerned is that?
Well, it's funny. I didn't really like Deftones, and these guys used to play it on tour. And then one day, yeah, I don't know, I just asked Ethan to give me just all of his favorites so that I can give him a proper go. And I did fall in love. And then we wrote Heroin, which I think is pretty obvious.
Right.
But I think what I took away from it, and this is the musician thing, it's like, I think you get influenced with ideas of how they go about things, not like exactly what they do. And so when I heard Deftones, the things that I gravitated towards were going in unexpected places, because the chord changes and the atmosphere changes and the way that they move is unexpected. And that's something that we both kind of fell in love with. And it was something that we wanted to bring to our music in Heroin. But in Bodies, I feel like my writing kind of just goes there now, because my ear wants to hear something different. Because it's very easy to be like, you do your first melody and it goes where you expect it to go, because that's easy. And you're like, yep, that's cool. That's what my ear hears. But like a lot of the time, it's that second go at a melody or a second go at the song where you find a little pocket of your major sevens, or like you find a little avenue within the chord changes that it makes you feel something different. And I think like even through my lyrics, one of my favorite things about lyricism and like creating a title for a work is to give you the unexpected. And it's like one of my favorite things to do is to title a heavy song something light, so that you pre-existingly go into a song thinking something different. And so that your expectation isn't like, oh my God, this is going to be the heaviest song ever. It's just like, oh, this is pretty and the lyrics are pretty, but this is heavy. And I think that sort of push and pull I have with it is also how I go into writing melodies, I think.
Right. That makes total sense. I've never really thought about that as well. I wonder then, I mean, this is me just wondering out loud, like if some bands come out and they sound kind of fairly obvious what they do with things, I wonder if they're going with their first idea, and if they kind of go, well, okay, that's down, we have that, but what if we try something different that might make something a little more interesting? But then on the counter, perhaps the balance of those things can make for surprises along the way. Like, because if you did every song is a gentle title and a heavy song, then the unexpected thing is to do something opposite from that, perhaps. And then I'm thinking, though, in terms of the guitar, for yourself, Ethan, one of the songs, Under the Knife, there's a delicious riff within there that has a sort of harmonic on the offbeat halfway through or towards the end. And that feels to me like quite a natural. Maybe you were playing the riff and just incidentally had this sort of do 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 do. Or have you thought of that in advance in your head? Like, I'd love to create this sort of dynamic back and forth. How did that particular riff, if you know what I'm talking about, come about?
Yeah. I actually think that one took a little while to cook. Like the first iteration of that song was the first demo we had done for the whole album. And then we sort of, because I think, to be honest, I think because it was the first one done, we had the most time to sit on it and then like critique it and change it and not like it. So ended up being one of the first demos and then one of the last to be like fully completed. So the whole structure kind of flipped on its head, and that riff itself had maybe 5 or 6 iterations. And it was just me like grinding different parts, sending videos on my MacBook to the boys to then be like, yeah, that one bounces.
That song was a
I
grind.
enjoyed Jacob.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying, I enjoyed Jacob nodding his head like, yeah, I heard every one of those riffs.
We battled
And I
that
had an
song,
opinion
dude.
about everyone.
We battled that song.
Well, it paid off because that's a standout song for me. Now, in terms of standout songs, there is a song that literally stands out from the rest of the album, which is Mercia. I was wondering if there's any point at which, was that part of the same writing process as Bodies and it was maybe potentially going to be on the album or no? Was that occurred entirely afterwards? Okay.
Yeah.
So
It was,
what then, but I guess did you see what then went into the decision making of like, do we want this to be released as a standalone song as opposed to that might build onto the next album or collection or EPs in future?
Well,
go, man.
I don't know. Like, I think we knew when we finished Bodies, I think we felt like there should have been one more song, and we fought for it, but nothing was right and nothing really finished it. Because I think we wanted to finish bigger than For Now, but you know, it's just not always how it comes together. And we kind of wanted, it's everything in hindsight. You know, you finish an album and then you realize what you wanted more of. And I think the ambience and the storytelling and the atmosphere was something that we wanted a bit more of, or something that we missed. So I think we knew we wanted to do like, well, I don't even know if I can talk about it, but we have like a deluxe coming. And so we were kind of thinking, maybe we should just do another song. You know, it'd be good for the Sleep Token tour, be good for like just keeping the ball rolling, and we were feeling good. And we kind of knew that the ambience was something that was missing. So that was like a way that we could go about it, but we didn't know what angle to take. And this song kind of, I don't know, it kind of fell into our laps, I'd say. Like it was the quickest we've ever written a song before.
How long would you say from start to finish did it take to write?
Like a week and a half.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, the timing of it certainly seems to be.
Yeah, it was like a week and a half, and then we filmed it in the same kind of. Well, like, look, I was writing the video at the same time and organizing the shoot. So I was like, as we were coming up with parts, I was having to change the video concepts as we were like going. So it was a pretty crazy like 2-3 weeks.
Jeez, that sounds intense. Yeah, I and you don't have to answer this question because you could very understandably be like, no, I'm not going to explain the theme. It's up to anyone's interpretation. But I watched the music video and there were bats at some point. Was there like a vampire theme to that? Everything's kind of lovely in the daytime, and then suddenly there's like this very severe look in yourself. Is there anything about the concept for Mercia you could share in terms of how you wanted to represent that visually?
I just saw it. Not like literally, me and my girlfriend walk that park in the mornings, and one morning the sun hit that hill, and because it's like a dog park, and I saw this little like this white dog just run over it, and we both were looking at each other and we are like, wow, that was very picturesque. Like that's a very beautiful like hill. And then I think from then I was just like, I've got to use that. Like that has to be something. And there's just like a rhythm in the song, and like the way that the verses and then the pre-choruses, the way that they have such separate identities and separate moods, and the way that kind of like shifts and changes. I mean, that's just like a storytelling like director's dream there. And I think from the like straight away that concept, I was like that. I just want to express that so simply within one concept, and just having those girls spinning. It's kind of like the ring a ring a rosy, kind of like the dance till you die kind of thing. I just wanted to express that they've been dancing the entire time, and it's just this like solid thing that they're doing, and you don't need too much explanation to feel kind of what they're feeling when you get the shifts and the changes of the music. And I think we're kind of getting a bit overdoing band and music videos. So we kind of wanted to just like have fun and just be like, well, it doesn't really need to mean too much, but it's just like feelings and atmosphere that you can kind of like,
Like a mood board.
yeah, just like a big Pinterest mood board of just like cool shit.
Yeah, I think it was in your interview with the breakdown with Nate. You're talking about kind of the importance of visuals and attire, how you're representing yourselves, and I think you said that at the core, you guys are essentially just a bunch of awkward guys, but you clearly you have an understanding of the visual side of things. And what fascinates me actually is your live shows is when I think your band fully clicked for me. There's something special about your band live. And there's some kind of a swagger that you have, which does not, in my head, sit with we're just awkward guys. Is your stage kind of sense something that's evolved over time with comfort, or is that something you're conscious of? Like, well, I want us to kind of visually represent with our energy something about the music, and that let's work on that. How have you come to have the swagger that you have on stage? Perhaps Jacob, you to start, and then Ethan.
I think heroin. I think we learned a lot with heroin. I think we wanted a lot. That was like a really big leap from the dark pool, and we were just really obsessed with like a lot of different things in music at that time. And I think the lockdown thing of just like not being able to do stuff just made us want to keep pushing the envelope a bit more. And like I learned how to dance for it just in my own room by myself. Like Ethan and I were really obsessed with just like just pushing heavy music listeners to like feel and think different things, and the visuals being this really big thing, and like the live show just being so much more of a performance to kind of set you apart. I feel like heavy music, especially live, can be very samey. And when we don't have the money for production, I think the ability to like not have a lot of production but to still put on a show is really important thing in our band. So I don't know. It's just kind of just happened over time. What do you reckon, Tones?
Um, yeah, I agree. I think heroin played a big part in that. But I also think like this whole band started from us playing like in high school together. Like that's where that initial spark was that live performance, like us playing Battle of the Bands when we were 16, and that was the driving force behind us wanting to start a band. So I think as much as like, touring can get hard and playing shows can get hard, at the core of it, like that's like we still get so much enjoyment out of that. It's a pretty hard high to catch, if that makes sense. Like that feeling of playing a really good show.
Yeah. And do you find that it feels differently viscerally if you're in a support role compared to kind of headlining it? Does the immediate feedback from a larger portion of the audience going like, "Oh yeah, we know your first song. Let's hit the roof and get really hyped about this," versus going on a stage and having a smatter of people go like, "Yeah, we're excited," and most of them going, "Who are these guys?" Did that change in your output when you're on stage in some way?
Yeah, it's a
I'd say
different
so.
thing. It's definitely a different show that you have to put on, we find. Like, I think we expected the Sleep Token crowd to be harder of a get than they have been, but we still kind of knew that it's like it's not about you in a support tour. Your whole job is to get up there, perform as hard as you can, and win people for the next time. So it's a bit performative. It's a bit more of like a puppet show. I think we kind of think of it. But then, yeah, your headlines, it's more about you, but it means you have to play really good. But it also means you can kind of somewhat relax and just let the crowd kind of I mean, we're going to find out because we're going to go straight to Europe on our headline after this, and they're going to be very polar opposite experiences.
Yes, I believe you're touring the UK pretty soon here. The London show is sold out because of course it is. It's the Islington Academy, lads. You're bigger than that. What are you doing?
We
What are you
wanted to
doing?
keep it small. We don't want to bite off more than we can chew. I think we kind of want to save it so that when we come back, it can be, I don't know, the forum.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. It's also nice for fans who've been keen earlier on because they want to enjoy you in the smaller venues before it's too late. It's one of those kind of trajectory things. So I'm sure those gigs would be great. And then looking at how you've been doing on the Sleep Token tour, I've seen some footage of yourselves from the back looking out at the audience, and there's phone lights on the whole arena, and like up in the gods as well. And like, to be real, if I don't know a band, I don't know what percentage of the Sleep Token fans would be aware in advance. If I'm up in the rafters and I don't know a band, they're saying get the phone light out. I'm probably not, unless they've really impressed me. So, how have you found the reception generally across the crowd? And are you noticing a difference in the energy at the start of your set to the end based on what you're doing?
Yes, yes. Honestly, even just the applause at the end has been like crazy. I think the more that we've done this tour, the more the Sleep Token fan base has seemed to adopt us, to be honest. Like, I mean, we're seeing it on social media. It's just like every show it gets a little bit more crazy. I mean, some of them it's a bit harder. Like yesterday, I was really like, I need you to stand up. I need if you're in your seats, I need you up. We're the only other band here. Like I need something. But they're not doing it, and I mean they're not doing it, and being bad or anything. Everybody's been very, very receptive to us. We have noticed that the further into the set seems to be, there's moments throughout the set that seems to do the impressing, and then you kind of win people over, and then by the last two songs, I think it's kind of when we have everybody, which is very lucky. I think we're just very lucky to be within the same world sonically as Sleep Token, so it's not that hard to digest us, is what we've kind of found. And everybody's been honestly really, really awesome.
That's great. Yeah, Ethan, are you, when you're playing in these arena shows, are you kind of able to take in what is before you and sort of stay in the moment, or are you just going like, I need to execute the guitar, I need to enjoy this and get through it, and make sure the performance is good?
A bit of both. I think we've all gotten better at like stopping to smell the roses a little bit with these sorts of shows. And that, like I said before, with this album, is like it was almost intentionally a little easier and a little more fun to play for that reason, so that we could sort of look up from our guitar and like appreciate the show a bit more instead of just being glued to it. Um, yeah, we still do want to put on the best show we can. So as performative as it is, and as much as we're trying to give our all, we do want to play as tight as we can, so that people can be like, "Damn, that like they're serious."
Yeah, it's tricky. It's a tricky tightrope, that one, I think,
Yeah,
because you're also going to be conscious, certainly in the modern era, like everyone's got a phone out. Like every single clip represents us, but we also want it to feel live and vibey, and that's tricky. I'm sure everyone's like, "Oh, great! I'm sure you'll just smash it." It's like, yeah, but you have to do all the shows and all the songs. Like it is a lot of effort to get through a whole run like that. So fair
Mhm.
plays to you. And I think, had you just done a tour when you were playing Bodies in Full? Was that a tour you did recently as well? So
yeah.
how did you then go from that to the set list for what I presume is about 14 minutes or so for Sleep Token? Did that feel refreshing, or were you kind of going like, I was really getting in the groove of doing these songs in a row? How's that been?
It was kind of sick, to be honest, because we could just kind of cut the fat and just play the bangers that we wanted to play. So we ended up skipping a bunch of our older tracks that would normally be in a headline set, because I think we just wanted to show people uh, who we are at the moment. And because there'd be so many fresh ears, like not a lot of people would be wanting to hear, deep cuts from the dark pool. They just want to hear us at our best. And we really enjoy playing these new songs. And that's, the most accurate representation of us right now. So we just figured we'd put on that show and have fun doing it.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Have you noticed having gone on to this tour. This is quite a stratospheric place to be. Have you noticed a difference in the way that people are interacting with your band in the industry? Have you seen the uptick that maybe you're hoping to get in terms of like contacts and opportunities and things based on this, or do you think that's maybe like a lagging factor after the tour, perhaps?
We're playing chicken right now.
No, we've met some
Good
people.
answer.
We've met some people. We've seen some people for sure. How could you not when there's that many people in a room? You know, like a lot of, and well, I mean, we've just been lucky to be given the opportunity to even be here, I think. So I feel like trying to take the most of that, and play the best that we can. I think it is being noticed by the right people. So I think we're very lucky.
I also think it's just kind of made us hungry, like moving forward. I don't think we've gotten this opportunity and just being like, oh my God, we're meeting so many cool people. Like, this is it, man. We've made it. It's just kind of made us hungry to like write and make the most out of this opportunity and just like double down for the next album and, make the most of it.
Yeah. I think also what's important here that people might overlook is that you could be given an opportunity by like this, but not be ready for it necessarily. And you've done a shitload of live gigs. So it's not like you went in that being like, well, we blew up on TikTok and now we have to go and do this massive arena thing. Like you're kind of ready at the right time to take the opportunity and run with it, which is not for nothing.
Agreed.
Yeah.
We've kind of said it as like it was the perfect tour at the perfect time for us. Like it just kind of fell into place, and we're insanely grateful for just being handed that opportunity because, like, you're right. I think we definitely felt ready for a tour this size. Like we put a lot of work into our Bodies North American tour, like you just mentioned before. Like that's probably the hardest we've practiced before, and I feel like we were sort of at our best when this opportunity fell into our laps. So it was very cool.
Very cool. Now, thinking in terms of your future, where you go on from here, are there things that you have learned from just doing an arena tour at this level, but also from watching the show that Sleep Token are putting on, or from where you're coming from the Bodies album in terms of what you want to write next? What is it that your next kind of thought that you want to explore is based on the environment you've been in the last few months?
Man, so many different things. I think production is probably something we've got to start looking at for headline tours. I think that's something we've been talking about a bit now. And just being better live, like even better, because they're so good. And, to play rooms this big, you have to be the best that you can be. And the way our year is lining up next year, I think it's more and more on the cards for us to like just be putting even more attention to detail when it comes to our live performance. It's been crazy, but in terms of writing, like Ethan said, it's just made us more hungry. It just makes us want to go home and write the next record. Like we're just so ready to capitalize isn't the right word, but like just having these opportunities presented and seeing what's happening in real time, it's just made us go, all right, we're ready to kind of like write the record we've been wanting to write for like since the inception of the band. We're just like, we're ready to go.
That's super cool. Yeah, I got the impression from previous interviews I've seen with you that you started this as mates like many years ago, going not having a backup plan, not having a particular goal in mind, but like we're just going to do this band thing. We're just going to go and put blinkers on and have a good time doing it. And perhaps you're at a point now where everything's opening up in a way that maybe you have to reconsider, like, or double down on your kind of core shared values as a unit. Like, how do you keep sane? Because there would be so many different avenues you could go down from here. How do you try and make sure that you're all together as a unit and making what you hope are sound decisions at this point?
Do you mean like sonically, so many different avenues, or just in terms of like how the band operates?
I guess it's up to interpretation, but I suppose how the band operates. I understand that you're all kind of involved in every aspect of the band currently. I think you might get to a point eventually, potentially, who knows, where that won't be sustainable. Or I guess, do you hope that it could be, even if you get to larger kind of arena-sized tours in future? Because if you look at the amount of, for example, like the gear and the construction and stuff that Sleep Token have to take with them, it's kind of mind-boggling. And I don't know how much you could all be in the details at that stage. Is that something you think about at this point? Or you're just thinking, next tour, we know what that is. Let's figure that out as we go along.
I think that's more our style. I don't
We're
think we
more
can
of the
really
fumble
comprehend
type.
putting on that sort of show. Yeah. I don't think we can comprehend putting on that sort of show just yet, but it is crazy to see. This is definitely like the biggest thing we've ever been a part of. Like seeing their back of house is just absolutely insane. I think we're just thinking about like what our next move is at any given moment and just playing to our strengths, and that seemed to work for us so far, and we'll keep doing that until it doesn't.
Yeah, I think we're the type to like be hands-on with everything. I mean, we've been a DIY band forever, so I don't know at what point we can take our hands off. I guess, yeah, we'll find out when you find out, I think. But for now, I think we're just going to be doing everything ourselves, even if it gets, out of control. I think, the more people we meet and the more opportunities we get, I'm sure we'll get more ideas on how to do things. But with Maida being the drummer and the manager, and Ethan and I writing everything and creating everything just like in-house, it's just, we don't really know another way. And I don't know if it would be Thornhill if we did it too differently. So I guess we're going to have to find out.
Yeah. Well, and as Ethan was alluding to there, so far leading into your strengths has certainly gone well. Like that, the music you put out with, especially this album Bodies, like I cannot listen to that enough times. It is so loopable from start to finish. And the success you're finding on your live shows, obviously you got the Sleep Token tour, you got a headline tour in UK and Europe coming up. So it's going great. Keep going and keep expanding as you go along. So best of luck with the rest of the tours you have coming up, and whatever that next creative avenue you go down on for your next album will be. I'm looking forward to hearing whatever it is you do next.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thanks
very
for
much,
having
Steve.
us.
Jacob and Ethan there from Thornhill. What a pleasure to chat to them, especially on a busy tour that they're on there with Sleep Token. Hopefully you enjoy that conversation as well. Check out the links in the description of this very episode to some social media platforms of Thornhill so you can keep up to date with them in future. And if you enjoyed this, make sure you're subscribed to this podcast either on YouTube or on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and you can enjoy more interviews like this very soon in your future too. Thank you for checking this out. Hope you have a great day.